Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we've got two important stories from West Ham United, so make sure you drop a like, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's get straight into the news. It's not exactly the happiest time to be a West Ham fan right now. Nuno Espirito Santo's side are coming off 3 consecutive Premier League defeats, and from the outside, it feels like the threat of relegation is already starting to creep in at the London Stadium. But it's still early in the season, and there's plenty of quality in this squad. Even after selling Mohamed Kudus in the summer for a big fee, there's a growing sense that perhaps the club made the right decision. Now, Kudus was a big name. A player full of flair and technical ability, capable of turning a game with a moment of brilliance. But football isn't built on flashes alone. During his first campaign in Claret and Blue, he impressed with 14 goals and 9 assists in 45 appearances, strong numbers that raised expectations. But that spark didn't last long. The following season, his performances dropped sharply, just 5 goals and 4 assists in 35 games. The consistency vanished, and in the key moments, he simply disappeared. That's why West Ham eventually decided to cash in, selling him for £55 million. Bold, yes, but it's starting to look like a smart move. Because Nuno found someone who represents the complete opposite of what Kudus had become, a player who embodies fight, grit, and consistency. His name? Jarrod Bowen. Bowen is already a modern legend at West Ham, the hero of Prague, the man whose goal won the Conference League final, and the one who keeps carrying this team on his shoulders. Since joining from Hull City back in January 2020, he's produced an incredible 77 goals and 53 assists in 248 games, averaging a goal involvement every 1.9 matches. While Kudus struggled, Bowen kept delivering. 14 goals and 10 assists last season, proving once again that he's the engine of this team. Even this year, with the Hammers fighting to avoid the drop, Bowen's numbers remain impressive. 3 goals and 2 assists in 10 matches. That's why Brentford boss Thomas Frank once called him unplayable. Bowen doesn't hide when things get tough. He's the player who understands what it means to fight for this badge, and that's exactly the type of mentality West Ham need right now. Despite Kudus's exit, there's still a sense of optimism around. The club still has leaders, players who give their all and refuse to give up. And that spirit matters, especially for the younger talents coming through. Because it's that example, that resilience, that will shape the next generation of Hammers. And speaking of the next generation, it's time to shift focus towards a fresh name beginning to turn heads in East London. After months out injured, a young Scottish striker has finally made his long-awaited debut for the club. His name is Daniel Cummings. The 19-year-old joined from Celtic in the summer amid plenty of excitement. After scoring 38 goals in 58 matches for their B team, he was handpicked by sporting director Mark Noble for a reported fee of £250,000. But shortly after the move, Cummings needed shoulder surgery, delaying his start to life in London. Now, nearly 5 months later, he's back. Cummings came off the bench for the under-21s in a 1-0 win over Aston Villa, and a few days later featured again in a 3-2 victory over Swindon Town in the EFL Trophy, playing roughly 20 minutes. It wasn't much, but enough to reignite hope that he can soon showcase the same finishing ability that made him one of the most exciting young strikers in Britain. Best of all, he's returned to a club that values young players with personality. West Ham have always prided themselves on that tradition. And with people like Mark Noble guiding the next generation, the path looks wide open for Cummings to make his mark. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. Daniel Cummings' return is one of those stories that tug at the heart of every West Ham supporter, especially at a time when the club desperately needs hope. The young Scotsman arrives with both curiosity and respect surrounding him. After all, it's never easy to face surgery at the beginning of a professional career and come back with the same hunger. And if there's one thing clear from his first few appearances, it's that he's driven by a fierce desire to prove himself. Sporting director Mark Noble was one of the main figures behind his signing. The West Ham legend had been following the striker's progress at Celtic for quite some time and recognized something special there. Cummings isn't just another name on a long list of promising youngsters. He's a player who blends technical quality with a true striker's instinct, great positioning, quick reactions, and a maturity beyond his years. At only 19, his record of 38 goals in 58 games for Celtic's B team shows just how clinical he can be. Those numbers don't go unnoticed, and this is precisely the type of signing that fits West Ham's identity. The club has always had a tradition of giving opportunities to those with talent and determination. It's part of what makes the Hammers different, a belief in building from within. From Declan Rice to Ben Johnson, history shows that when the academy is trusted, results come. And Cummings joins at a time when that philosophy needs to shine again, especially as the first team struggles for consistency. Inside the under-21 setup, the buzz around him is palpable. Coaches and teammates speak highly of his attitude in training and how quickly he's adapted to the English style of play. He's an intense forward, presses high, makes smart runs, and constantly looks for the goal. Even though he's only had a few minutes on the pitch, his energy has been infectious. When he stepped onto the pitch against Aston Villa, the dressing room reportedly erupted with joy after the match. It wasn't just about the win, it was about his comeback. What's most exciting, though, is the bigger picture. West Ham are in a transitional phase. Nuno Espirito Santo is trying to reshape the team, searching for new solutions and perhaps new faces from within the club. There's a clear desire to integrate more youth, and Cummings could become a bridge between the current struggles and the brighter days ahead. His playing style even draws light comparisons to Jared Bowen, the same intensity, constant movement, and willingness to shoot, though Cummings has a more traditional striker's instinct. Of course, it's still early. He's been sidelined for months and needs time to regain sharpness. But if he stays focused and avoids further injuries, there's every reason to believe he could become an important piece for the under-21s, and perhaps, sooner than expected, earn a glance from the first-team staff. Mark Noble believes in that potential wholeheartedly. Having lived the West Ham way for over 2 decades, he knows how vital it is to nurture young players properly. For Noble, Cummings is more than just a signing. He's a statement of intent, proof that the club still believes in hard work, patience, and growth from within. What stands out even more is Cummings' mentality. After his debut, he kept his words short but meaningful. "I just want to repay the trust with hard work." Simple but powerful. It shows he understands what this moment means, not just for his own career, but for everyone watching from the stands. For a 19-year-old, that level of maturity is rare. Fans who follow the youth system know how valuable that attitude is. Cummings doesn't act like a star. He acts like someone who wants to earn everything. The next few weeks will be crucial for him to build fitness, gain rhythm, and solidify his place in the side. His return also raises the overall standard within the squad. Competition is healthy, and with Cummings back, the under-21 suddenly looks stronger and more confident. There are even whispers that Nuno Espirito Santo might keep an eye on him if the senior team continues to struggle for goals. It wouldn't be a surprise. When a young player shows drive and ability, it doesn't take long for the coaching staff to notice. Ultimately, Daniel Cummings' comeback is more than just the return of an injured player. It's a reminder that this club still believes in progress, patience, and giving chances to those who fight for the badge. After 5 months of recovery, the young Scotsman is back on the pitch, with the same determination that took him from Glasgow to East London. And if Mark Noble has his way, this will just be the first chapter in a long, successful story in Claret and Blue. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. When you put both stories side by side, it's clear that West Ham United stand at a crossroads. On one hand, there's the present, embodied by Jared Bowen, the symbol of commitment, consistency, and loyalty to the club. On the other, there's the future, represented by Daniel Cummings, the teenager dreaming of following a similar path, carrying the hopes of a new generation on his shoulders. And between those two worlds lies a club searching for its identity, one built on effort, pride, and the weight of the Claret and Blue shirt. The sale of Mohamed Kudus, which at first seemed like a step backwards, may have served as a mirror reflecting what truly matters in a team that wants to stay competitive in the Premier League. Raw talent isn't enough. Kudus is skillful, technically gifted, but he lacked consistency, and more importantly, connection to the West Ham spirit. The fans feel that. You can't fake commitment. A player can shine for 1 or 2 games, but the ones who stay in the supporters' hearts are those who keep fighting when things go wrong. And that's where Bowen stands apart. Jarrod Bowen is more than a goal scorer. He's the face of modern West Ham. The man who arrived quietly from Hull City and conquered everything through hard work. His winning goal in the Conference League final against Fiorentina wasn't just a European triumph. It was redemption, the kind of moment that binds a club and its people together. Bowen represents the fan on the pitch, and that's exactly why Nuno Espirito Santo has kept him at the center of his project. But football, much like life, moves in cycles, and that's where the other half of this story begins. Daniel Cummings. His comeback may seem small in the grand scheme of things, a simple under-21 debut, but it carries immense symbolic weight. It represents the seed of the future, proof that West Ham still believes in rebuilding from within. Cummings comes back from injury with humility and hunger, the kind of attitude that reignites belief. When you look at Bowen and Cummings side by side, the parallel is hard to ignore. Bowen shows the path, Cummings looks to follow it. Both came from modest beginnings, both driven by the desire to prove they belong. And both embody that defining West Ham quality, resilience. The ability to keep going no matter how tough it gets. That's what defines a true Hammer. The club, though, must manage this transition wisely. Having talented youngsters isn't enough. They need structure, patience, and the right environment to grow. That's where Mark Noble's influence becomes crucial. No one understands the meaning of wearing the West Ham badge better than him. Since taking over as sporting director, Noble has worked to balance experience with youth, and Cummings' arrival was another calculated step in that direction. He knows the club needs to evolve without losing its soul. There's a saying that fits West Ham perfectly. Not every new beginning starts from zero. The team might be struggling, flirting with the bottom half of the table, but signs of rebuilding are visible. Bowen proves that leadership still exists on the pitch. Cummings proves that talent still grows beneath it, and that's a combination worth believing in. In today's Premier League, where money and pressure dominate everything, clubs like West Ham are often judged solely by results. But the real essence of West Ham lies deeper. It's in the resistance, the willingness to fight back, the passion that refuses to fade. From the old Upton Park days to the modern London Stadium, the fan base has learned to celebrate more than victories. They celebrate effort, they celebrate identity. If Bowen is the face of that fight today, Cummings could one day be its continuation. Maybe he won't become a star overnight. Maybe it'll take time. But the story is starting in the right way, with humility, patience, and the hunger to succeed. And if Nuno Espirito Santo and Mark Noble nurture that properly, West Ham might just turn a difficult moment into the foundation for something greater. Football is full of twists. One day you're watching your team lose 3 in a row. The next, you're celebrating a youngster making his debut, feeling that spark of pride again. That's what keeps the claret and blue heart alive. Emotion, hope, and faith. Because no matter how much the game changes, the spirit of West Ham never does. Passionate, resilient, and endlessly loyal. And maybe when we look back in a few years, we'll say it all started here, during a tough period when West Ham began to rebuild. With Bowen holding the present and Cummings shaping the future. 2 names, 2 stories, but 1 soul. The soul of a club that never stops fighting. So that's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, share, and of course subscribe to the channel for more. Take care, and I'll see you next time.